Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Trainz Simulator, Trainz 2019. Today we're going to be looking at the Willamette geared steam locomotive from Trainz Forge. These are not shays. It is an actual, that is what the locomotive is called, is a Willamette geared locomotive. The intent behind this particular design is after the patent for the design ran up with shay, for the shay, other companies were able to produce and copy the shay design, and the Willamette was an attempt to further develop the shay and kind of perfect the shay, improve it. These were built by the Willamette Iron and Steel Works of Portland, Oregon. We'll go over some of the key features that are a big difference, but I just thought this would be a unique one to look at. Typically when people see this design, they think of a shay because shays were the most produced, most well known, especially thanks to many of them still being in scenic operation today, as famously shown with Cass Scenic Railroad, as we see here, Cass number 4. So the shays are front and center, but they're not the only geared type. Way early on when I started doing videos, I did do a video on the Climax, the 3-truck and 2-truck Climaxes. And of course you had the shay, but one of the other more oddball was Willamette. So as far as the pack goes, these come from Trainz Forge. These are freeware. You do not have to pay a dime for them. I believe there are 6 different locomotives in the pack. I don't know what all they are. I do have 2 of the others down here at Keene, just for giggles and squiggles. Where that? Right there. And that's the reason they're down there, because once those air pumps start going off, they kind of get a little annoying. East Side Logging and Frederickson Log and Timber Company. Difference-wise between any of the different road names, I don't think there's really much, if any, outside of a few cosmetics. So, like our Eagle River locomotive up here has the toolbox up on the cab roof. So, I don't have them all down, but just know there are others included in the pack other than the Eagle River. But so going off of some of the differences between a Willamette and a shay, one of the, I guess two of the really big noticeable things, if you know what you're looking for, are a Willamette uses Walschaerts valve gear, whereas the shay uses typically Stevenson valve gear. So our valve gear in here would be different, as we can see here. Another telltale sign is the cylinder arrangement. So all Willamettes, the cylinders face the same direction, and they're forward of the cab, whereas on most shays, the rearmost cylinder will protrude into the cab, and the rearmost cylinder will face the opposite direction of the rest of the cylinders. So that's 2 of the real big giveaways, the cylinders and the valve gear. There are some other noticeable, if you know that they're noticeable. If you don't know that they're noticeable, they're not so dead giveaways. So one of the things is all Willamette steam locomotives were built with superheaters. Shays were not. Willamettes are riveted together. Shays are typically not. The truck design, so the wheels down here were completely redone. versus the Shay design here, as you can see. Sitting here going through our notepad. The valve chests are turned outward. And yeah, I think that's the most telltale of the differences between a Willamette and a Shay. To most people it's not going to mean much, but to a trained eye or somebody that is enthusiastic about about logging locomotives, geared locomotives, it'll stand out. A lot of the little details and differences between a Shay and a Willamette will definitely stand out, but that's the big notable ones. Yeah, so let's dive into it. So detail wells right off the bat, as is pretty typical of Trainz Forge. Even with their freeware, they're very well detailed and fairly well textured. We do kind of have this dirty dusting going on down on the frame and wheels and all of our bits and pieces down here. But yeah, overall, just a really good looking locomotive. They are very well detailed and very, very well modeled. It's kind of entertaining that our generator is not running. I believe the generator sound is coming from our Shay. It is. So let me pull up my HUD here. There it goes. Little tufts, little puffs. So there are, right off the bat, a handful of things that you can play with. Smoke box door. It's pretty typical on Trainz Forge stuff, with a relatively detailed smoke box interior. So that's neat. You can add the Willamette geared locomotive banners. It's kind of a cool little gimmick, you know, especially if you use these for like scenic railroad operations or whatnot. This is kind of a fun banner to add on, as I am typically using it for on the Eel River. We'll get rid of the banner. And then engineers windows to open the front and the sides, same for the firemen's. Engineer's door, which will open this back door here, same for the firemen. And then roof hatch. There's a handful of fun stuff to play with there. All but I believe one Willamette was designed for oil, the oil burner. Yeah, all but one Willamette burned oil. So all of our Willamettes here have oil bunkers. I don't know that any of the models included with the pack came with a coal bunker, so kind of a neat little thing. They do have a cab interior for those of you that enjoy the cabs on these locomotives. I always say it, I don't care all that much for cabs and trains. It doesn't play out the best, but for those of you that do enjoy it, it is indeed there. And I believe most of it is functional. It is. So it is functional. It does make some noises. So that's cool. Yeah. That's interesting. Let's see, where's our whistle? Whistle's not half bad. I believe that the whistle is recorded from one of the actual operational Willamettes that is, I believe, from the Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad. I don't like that it plays a whole tune. I never liked that. It's rare that I ever like that in either one of the train simulators I go over. I like to be able to play the whistle myself, but other than that ending little bit, it is a nice whistle. It does sound pretty decent. It's got that deep, kind of screechy little sound to it that's, odd. The steam from the whistle is way off over here, so that's kind of odd, but whatever. Headlight, pretty typical of Trainz Forge. Nothing all that special there. And of course, operations. Just for giggles and squiggles, like I said, I do have a Shay here. I am going to run it next to it so that you can kind of, maybe we can get up close while they're both running and see the different valve gears in motion. So now this has an awesome chuff sound, but those pumps are awful. So I love the chuff sounds on this locomotive. They are timed nicely. They sound nice, deep. It's really excellent. But while the pumps are animated, which is pretty, I love that, the pump sound is typical of Trainz Forge. It's got a very noticeable pop in the loop, and it gets very annoying. Let's get our Shay running here. That's a cool sounding whistle too. So we got our Shay running. We got our Heisler, or not our Heisler, our Willamette running. You can kind of see the different valve gears. So here we got that Stevenson style valve gear. And if we hop over here to our Willamette, you see our wall shirt style valve gear. That's really the biggest differences that you'll notice in operation. Whenever these locomotives are running along, that's the big things you'll notice, is the difference in the difference in the valve gear, the rods and such. They're set up differently, as you can see. I don't know why our Shay doesn't have any chuff sounds. Whatever. That's a good sounding whistle. But now these are very low geared, so small increments in your power increase on your throttle will not show a huge difference. These locomotives are not built to go fast. They're built for 10-15 miles an hour max. You're not cruising. These are built to haul over horrible track. That's really and truly the only point to these logging operations. But there you see the difference in a Shay and a Willamette in operation. Now the smoke does this kind of weird flare out thing right here that I don't like. I like this. I don't like whatever this is, because it just kind of puffs out at weird intervals. It's just, not a fan of it. But man, that chuff sounds are nice. I'll go ahead and stop my shade. Oh yeah, the bell. It's got a nice sound to the bell. The bell is animated. But man, those chuff sounds are nice. 6 miles an hour and it sounds like we're flying along. Just an overall very neat locomotive to watch. Even our gears in here are modeled. It's fairly noticeable inside here. Take it up to our full throttle setting and see how fast it'll go. Just for giggles and squiggles. Now realistically, you won't ever see a locomotive like this running this quick. Right now we're doing 19 mile an hour. That looks like about where it'll balance out. The chuff sounds pretty much disappear. So let's put us back down to a believable. So that's our high speed sound, which, you know, it's not that bad. And then if we take it straight to 0, it starts to slow down a little bit quick. It stops a little quick. In real life, these locomotives won't roll very far, but even then, the braking physics are a little bit fast. It does come to a rapid halt. Another one of them wonky things. If you look really close, it's not hugely noticeable. It's not something that, you know, you go, oh my goodness, how dare they, but there's no actual teeth on the gears, which is a bit odd. Like I said, it's not hugely noticeable, especially when you're at speed. It'll pretty much blur out anyway, but there typically should be some gears right here, and then of course gears around your wheels, here, here, and here. Not a big deal, just kind of a noticeable thing, kind of like this. You can see the gear teeth. And if we look at it kind of funky like, you can see our other gears right here. So it is a kind of a nitpick, I get, but just, you know, one of those nitpicks that I've catch. But man, these things sound really nice. I love that chuff sound. Ooh, goodness. But, anywho, anyways, I am a little bit curious, just for... I'm just a little curious as to whether or not the valve gear adjusts. Something that I typically don't go over in any of my Trainz videos. It's not something that I notice all that much. Nah, it doesn't look like it does, but like I said, not something that I typically notice personally. But anyways, there it is, guys. The freeware Willamette geared locomotive available from Trainz Forge. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Do go check it out. Link in the description. Again, it's freeware. You're not losing out on anything if you don't like it, but I do think it is worth checking out. I think it's a pretty neat one. It's a unique locomotive. You guys know how I like my unique stuff, but it's a very unique idea and a very unique design. One that gets overshadowed a lot by its big competitor, the Shay. But anywho, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.